you were feeling magic to me.
I was.
You must have said it's purple.
Must be like a nice little like SDG purple, I think. So, anyways, .NET new. Let's create a new SDG React app, and let's call it Master Review. Why did that not work? Do I not have I don't have SDG React installed.
Remember you had to update it? Did you delete it?
I might have deleted it. I can grab it real fast.
Grab it from me.
I can't. My job in the next hour after we're done here is to update this with those 2 fixes. There it is. So what do we want to build?
What's that?
What do we want to build?
Well, we're working on this on Superfly, so we don't want to create that. We already did cars.
Mm-hmm. We can do. Have we done a sports team one yet?
I don't think so.
Okay, what's your favorite sport?
Look who you're talking to. I'm a sports guy. Are you?
No.
It's like, I'm barely a sports
So we
guy.
need to know position.
So let's pick something. Let's do.
We're nerds. We got 2 sports.
Yeah. Let's do. Well, we're gonna have a team model, at least, probably. Let's do.
I think we know enough about.
We can probably do hockey, football, soccer, basketball.
Do we know enough? I know the positions of baseball. Baseball?
Baseball? Let's do baseball.
Okay.
Baseball for the record. And yes, I know I'm going to say this on record. Baseball's like my least favorite sport.
It's pretty boring.
Yeah.
I do like swinging at the ball though. That's kind of fun hitting the ball.
Yeah.
Any field position is whoa.
Yeah. Like
I'm gonna stand here.
I never understood it. To me, it's one of those sports where you kind of have to understand the culture around it to really enjoy the game. So, I just kind of something.
A lot of like, I think it's my brother's all into it, and he's like, yeah, it's a lot of like thinking and
Like you have
very intellectual.
Yeah, like you have to know what you're looking at in order to really truly enjoy it.
Yeah. Football is very in your face. Doesn't require a lot of thinking.
Yeah.
Baseball, I think, is a lot of understanding.
But for these purposes, I know the baseball positions are pretty simple. What they are, what they do.
Yeah, and we actually don't need to know much about the positions themselves because see, we're going to have a team. We're also going to track players as well. Nope, not player CD. Player's going to have a full name.
Position.
A position. Have we done enumerated types?
Enumerated types? No.
Cool, we're going to do that.
Would that be his number?
I'm going to come back to that. That's just a placeholder. We'll do his number as well. Though really, we should store the number as a string. Why do we want to do a string rather than an integer?
Well, we're never going to do math on it.
Exactly.
What's the pitcher and the catcher's total number?
Sounds like a bad code kata. Find the average of the player numbers of a team. So yeah, it can be a string. Because then we can use this for like rec leagues and stuff like that, or people have crazy numbers like -I and stuff like that, and it won't break our system. So yeah, so this is good enough for a player on a team. Um, obviously, one team has many players, right? So prop list of players equals new list of player. And each player has one team, right?
Yeah.
So prop int team ID, prop team. And let's add these to our database. Though we probably won't use most of these, it's good to have them inside of our database anyways. Prop db set team, teams, prop db set players. Anything crazy so far?
No, I'm just wondering where if we would need a third table at any point.
Stats. So, or do you mean like a third table between the two?
Yeah, I'm wondering if we need like, no, not team player. It's hard to think that many steps ahead as far as what you're gonna do with the end result.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So one of those, if we wanted to, right now we have a very simplistic data model. One player can only ever belong to one team. Which is all fine and dandy. But what if a player now belongs to multiple teams over time?
Right.
So like this year, someone's starting on the New York Yankees, but next year they're traded to the Marlins. How do we represent that inside of our system? Do we care? Because there could be a middle table called roster. That is a many-to-many table that links up team and players. That just has the team ID and a player ID to kind of help map out that relationship. We can make this relationship be a lot deeper if we wanted it to.
Yeah.
So now that we have that, I want to have a very simple page, a very simple site. I always like to set context to what I want to do, just because from a developer standpoint, it's like, here's what I want to do. I'm going to say it out loud. I'm going to write it down and be like, I'm going to do this next. So I can actually know what I'm doing. Because I tend to get distracted. Like whenever we did in positions, totally going to teach you about enumerated types, but I totally got distracted. So enumerated types. This will be the only new part of the lecture, I swear. And it's a really small thing. So enumerated types are a way for us as developers to help kind of restrict the values of a given variable, of a given type. So if we were to do positions right now, positions would most likely be some sort of string, right?
Yeah.
And, just to kind of think about this, we'd have var Bobby equals new player, who has a position of pitcher. Right?
I think T's first.
Pitcher. There we go. So now this pitcher is now just a string. Is it capital P pitcher? Is it lowercase p pitcher? Is it all uppercase P pitcher? Is it even pitcher? Maybe it's just P. So because it's a string, we've now opened ourselves up to being, it can be anything. It can be rainbows. It can be a car. We can now store anything there.
Yeah.
So that's a problem inside of our system. We know that, hey, that position is something, but there's only 9 positions on a team, right? So what if we could create a new type, create a new system to help restrict us to only being able to use one of those 9 ideas, one of those nine values. This is where enumerated types come into play. So now over here in my positions, namespace, master review.models. Now we're going to create something new called an enum. An enum has a name, enum positions. Then whenever we create the enum, all we're doing is listing out the different values that it could be. So what are the positions for a baseball team? Pitcher, catcher,
Yeah. First, second, third.
first base,
Second base, third base, fourth base, fifth base.
There's no fourth base.
maybe in your world. We're playing fun baseball now.
Baseball square.
Shortstop,
Yeah, fielders.
fielder, left field,
Yeah.
center field, and right field. Right, so now we're just saying, hey, we have this new enumerated, this new enum, this new type inside of our system, because we're essentially creating a new type. And we're saying, hey, this type has 9 values and that's it. So over here now in my players, instead of a string position, it's now type positions. Position. And then if I ever try to make up a new player somewhere,
Is it not the same thing as you did with team?
Nope. So this, so it is, but it isn't. So it's the same, and I know it's such a terrible answer, but now we're going to talk about that answer.
Okay.
So it's the same because we're taking another object inside of our system, a custom defined type, and newing up a property that has that type.
Yeah.
In this case, the type is type team. In this case, it is type position. Where it veers is that this team is a class.
Yeah.
Versus this positions is a enumerated type. So now I can go if I ever new up a new player, ignore what this actually does. If I new up a new player, so new player, I can go positions. I'm going to change that. Position equals positions dot, nope, call positions, right? Positions dot pitcher. So now I just say, hey, my position, I'm a pitcher. So how do we think this is now stored inside the database?
Inside of
Postgres. So because inside of C# land, we actually have the values now of pitcher, catcher, first, second, third baseman, left, right, center, and shortstop. So now we actually
stored as a number value.
Correct. It is stored as a number value down inside your database. And the number value corresponds to the order of this list.
okay.
So this one's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay.
There are configurations to kind of set that up so you actually get the words instead. But that's up to how you want to store the data. It makes our lives in C# land a tad bit easier.
So does this show up as a table?
Nope. This shows up as just a column. Let's actually run the migration and see what we get here.
Because you called it a public enum instead of public class?
Correct.
If you called it public class, it would have been a table?
Yep. So let's come over here. SDG baseball. Yeah,
So if you want to make it really, really confusing, you could set up an enumerable with numbers as.
Yes. Yeah. So if you wanted to, you could be like, hey, public enum booleans of true and false.
But not false and true.
Yeah, or false and true. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or
that would make it a little bit more confusing.
Numbers.
Start at 1.
0, 1,
You should start at 1. That would make it a little bit more confusing.
Yeah.
Like, you could do this, but this gets ridiculous. But you can't. And what's cool is that you can actually set like default values, like, oh, I want my 1 to equal 4. Because, that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, so you can do weird stuff like that, but it also kind of helps restrict what the hell's going on here. So I made my migrations, my teams table, blah, 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 that's normal. My players table, my position, it's an integer because it's going to store that as a number. So a little thing. Yeah, so that's kind of a nice little enum tour on our way to get to React Router. So we really care about the React Router stuff, right? That's kind of, we have our full stack app. It's cool. But now let's do router stuff. So if we look at the router is going to be hanging out over here in app.js. So inside of our app.js, you notice that we have this route that has a couple different things here. We have each route has a path as well as a component. So this acts like a giant lookup table. It says when the URL equals this, we're going to load this component. So let's make our own component real fast. So we're going to have your components, add new component. We're going to call this teams component, JS. RCC, teams. These are my teams. We'll populate this later in a little bit. So now I want to add that as a new route to my application. So I'm going to add new route, path equals. Now this is what I want to be displayed inside the URL. So now I'm on the teams page. I probably want something like teams, to be displayed. And whenever you're on that page, I want the user to see the teams component. So now, if I'm going to fire this baby up, .NET watch run. Local host file.
Figuring out this much, I don't know, I just couldn't figure out how to get to display the so I understand that would link out to the whatever page that you have linked out to.
Okay.
But how do you display what you want to display? Because I saw how the links are real basic.
Can you reformat?
Okay,
Yes.
reformat so it actually makes sense. So everybody's apps are looking like this.
Yep.
And they're displaying complex information. Oh, because their home has all of the the home would have all of their picture, all of those pictures.
So our homepage right now, this is on our homepage. If I wanted to change what's here to be a list of pictures or something like that, I would go to the home component and be like, hey, yep, let's do it right here.
And then just add a link. Okay, I should have just asked you instead of watching the entire video about this entire thing, wasting hours and hours on this.
Yeah, link to the teams. And then this is the
missing
link.
small parts of this, but it turned into massive.
I need to import something, don't I?
Clusterfuck of I don't know what's going on.
That is software in a nutshell. I think that works. To the teams, that link tag gives us a tag URL that points down to, it's going down in the left corner there. You see it says localhost/teams. Click that. I go to my teams page.
So if I was to do like my site,
Mm-hmm.
I would just have my home page.
Yep.
And then I wanted to like click on like the entire area to link out to a specific area of the page.
Mm-hmm.
I could. How would just wrap it in a link, right?
Yeah, let me actually make one for you real fast, just to kind of. So I'm gonna head over to Bootstrap.
That's what I started doing with it.
And I'm going to give probably a card.
I thought it was all wrong. I was sort of doing it, and I just okay. I thought it was like completely fucked. Sorry, I keep on. Watch my language.
Yes.
I'm not good at that.
That is something to get good at.
Yes.
Place kitten. I need to go home. Let me clean up this Bootstrap here real fast. Class name. This is like the biggest beef that I have with Bootstrap. Or actually, it's React. So now this whole thing is now a link to view my teams.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wrapped that inside of a link.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wasn't quite right.
How does that connect to your app.js? Does it?
My app.js includes it.
Your home.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. So I think I was like 90% right, and I assumed that I was 10% right.
Yeah.
And as soon as the sky was falling, and then
A lot of the times you'll find, just in general, that you're close to where you are. You're always a lot closer than you think you are.
That card image, you put it in home or Teams?
Home.
so I was just
Mm-hmm.
slightly off, and thought I was miles
Yep.
off.
Nope. How else we feeling? So
I haven't been working with images in a while, so it's a good reference for me to go back and take notes on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so images usually just placed out a source, just a link to someplace else. And that's really how we store images inside of our database, to be truthfully, is that we don't store the actual images, is that we store a link to the images.
Yeah.
So over here, our team's CS model, they're also going to have a props string logo URL. And then whenever we go to add teams, we'll be able to actually add an image to that team. But whenever we get it, we're going to get the image, upload it to a third-party service like Amazon or Cloudinary or Imager or something like that, and be like, hey, store the image over there, and then just save a link to that image.
Can I see your home.js again?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, I saw it. I know what that's doing. Right there, home CS.
Mm-hmm.
So we have team players and.
That's it. We just have team players right now.
Okay.
We could add stats in there.
Right.
Okay. Here's something I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you had to, if you're going to use React Router, I thought you had to wrap everything in
In a route.
router.
So it is. The way that this template is set up, if we head to the layout,
Layout, so the layout is,
and I believe if we keep crawling up the chain, there it is. So inside of index.js,
okay.
we are saying, hey, everything is inside of our browser router. And inside of our browser router, we have our app.js.
So I literally don't have to worry about that anymore.
No, as you just have to wrap your app in at once. Some people do it in app.js, some people do it here in index.js. It's just kind of wherever it feels the best to you. But just wrap your entire app in it and just call it a day.
Okay. Okay. But like for now when I'm working in this, I just don't have to worry about wrapping everything in routes.
Yep.
Routers.
So you only use a React router in two places, really. One is wherever you're wrapping your entire app in, and the other place is defining your endpoints, defining what pages that you have inside your app.
Well, every time you have to make a link.
Yeah, every time you make a link, but that's just really a link tag. That's not like dealing with React router craziness. That's just it's a link.
Okay. Okay. So I just wasted my afternoon. Cool.
Not wasted, learned.
If you think I learned nothing, but hey, it's okay. All right. I learned something. The biggest thing I learned is calm down, just
Exactly.
chill out.
Yep. How are we feeling?
Good. Well, I was looking at my project to see how it looks compared to what you have. Yeah, that's what I've been. The links inside of individual components, inside of your app.js is where you have your router, all your paths, so that way you go from your home to your different components.
Yep.
You could have some links, depends for my cases, because I had tabs. And then within each component, I'm only using the link, not using any routes, but it wouldn't be strange to have routes in a component, would it? Would you be able to use routes from inside a component? Is there any need for that?
No, there's no need for it.
Just linking around.
So some people can put like routers inside of routers.
Router inside of router.
Yeah. So at an extremely high level, this browser router is just giving you a box on the page that is going to swap out different components. So this browser router is saying, hey, somewhere inside of my page, I'm going to have a whole bunch of routers, and I'm just going to swap those out. Think of it like divs or pieces of paper, like swapping out the exact same location. Some people like to do that on multiple levels. So they'll be on like the home page, and that will be its own route. But then inside of the home page, there'll be like a little mini a inner browser router as well that also has pagination. So there's some wonky setups in it that might cause you to put routes inside of routes. But I think that's crazy and not too great.
Well, I can see how that, for a UX
Yeah, like
or
maybe.
UI UX thing.
Yeah, like maybe
Like,
you sell me on it, but.
Would that be that it's like a site, maybe an instructional site? It's a teaching site, and it has like main page, and it's talking about what you were just talking about, and it has a window within it that you can browse within there from page to page. That would be where the emphasis that would work.
Yeah. But like typically 90% of 99% of the time, you're only gonna have one router on a page.
Okay. Makes it very clear that the router is only used in your app.js. And then links from within your...
Links are everywhere. Also, how you access parameters in the URL is also going to be a thing, which I don't think you need, but you'll probably need.
So access parameters.
Yep. So here's my entire Teams page. Right. Let's say I had another component called Team.js. So whenever I see all my teams on a page, I can click the New York Yankees and drill down and see have the page for the New York Yankees. So team page, So now I have that. But I need to know which team that I actually clicked on, right? Whether I clicked on the Yankees or the Pirates or the Marlins or the Cubs or anything like that. So I want to go, hey, here's the team that I clicked on. Over here in my app.js, I'm going to add a new route that's at a new location, and I'm going to use a URL parameter or query string parameter. We kind of know what those are, right? We've already used them in C# and APIs. But here we can say, hey, now when I go to teams/team name, I want to load my team component. Now that team name, that colon team name, doesn't mean that I actually type in colon team name. That means that I'm going to have some variable that happens right there. So my actual URL is going to be /teams/Cubs/team/Yankees/team/Pirates. Those are like the 4 baseball teams that I know. So just kind of bear with me here. So to show that, we're going to come here /teams/Cubs. These are my teams. So, hey, this is interesting. It's actually loading both the teams page and the team page.
Mm-hmm.
We need to add our exact. Because that exact says, hey, only when the URL is exactly this. Now I come over here and it's like, oh wait, really just getting just one thing. So you can do some really cool stuff with that, like load multiple components if your route matches that. You could. I typically tend to shy away from that just because it's too much complexity. But using the exact, we're going, hey, whenever we're here, let's access just the team page.
So when I'm going to be adding a photo, I'm going to have to be adding to my app file.
You'll add one page that covers all the photos. So you'll have something that looks like this, /photo /photo ID.
And that'll add there, and then it'll populate out through.
Yep.
So just creating that dynamic thing.
Yep. Because then down over here in Team.js, what we can do is the component did mount. We can actually look at what's in the URL. So it's this.props. Ooh, let's put this. Location.match.params. In this case, it's team name. We can go, hey, this. This.setState. Team name. This is my one team page for this.state.team name. So now I'm going, hey, look at my URL, look at the parameters, grab me the team name parameter that we specified here, put it into a variable called team name, then put that team name into state, and then display that on the page. Of course, we need a state. Yep, we need to add our state.
While you're on the state, if you're not on discussing something right now.
Yeah, I just need to figure out what the actual route is.
Okay.
I think I messed it up. But yeah, no, what's up?
There's state manager where you declare the state, and then there's constructor props and super props. The purpose of having constructor props is so you can pass properties onto the state.
So let me.
Because I just use it. I'm pretty sure that in my example I didn't need constructor props. I just needed this.state. But I just use it because by default I know that that's going to allow me to do more things if I do come across that.
So it's pretty much how do you initialize state? Is that pretty much the question? It's like what's because there's one way where we have the constructor with the props and does all the other cool stuff, But we never end up using it. There's also the way that I did it, where it's just state equals an empty object. So it's like, how do we do it? What's kind of the thing there? So it's this dot, where are we? We are down here. So it's this dot location. So it's this dot match dot props. This dot props dot match. So why did that not work? This dot props dot match params team name. There you go. This wasn't the latest version. Same with Cubs, Yankees. And then with that team name, then I can do my post to, or my get to the API to get the team data. So you had a question about how to set state.
Right.
So there's this way, and then the other way is constructor props super props
And this dot state
equals set, right? So like, what's the difference there?
Yeah, which one do I use and when?
So technically, there's not any difference. They're both going to accomplish the exact same thing. The reason why we do this is you see how class team extends component.
Yeah.
We talked about inheritance, right? So, and we know that each class has a constructor. So whenever a new team class is created, it's also calling the constructor of its parent class as well. Because component has a constructor itself. Here, we're giving it a new constructor, and we're just saying, hey, whenever we create a new team with whatever props we give it, whatever props we pass it, also pass those props up to the constructor for the parent. So it's just making sure that we're initializing everything correctly. And that's it.
Okay.
So this used to be the way to do it. In the latest version of React, this became a thing.
So this is just like the less. I mean, for right now, this is just like the less redundant way of doing it.
Yeah. So this is, to me, this is syntactual sugar for this.
Okay.
There are
At the current point in time.
yeah.
But old ways,
Sure.
there's old ways that just wouldn't work.
Yes. So like this is great. But if we wanted to do this, instead of doing this in component did mount, we want to do this inside of the constructor. We'd have to do this. Team name equals this dot props dot match dot params dot team name. Like we could do that instead of doing it here. We can't do this up here because props doesn't exist.
So there's nothing wrong with doing it with the constructor props,
No.
and it actually will allow you to do something else.
Yep.
So I'm gonna stick with the old way.
I say,
But
yeah, this way is perfectly valid. It's still a good way to
I
do it.
tested it; it worked
Yeah.
exactly the same for what I need it for right now.
Mm-hmm. If you're not setting any sort of default values inside of the state that come from like the props or someplace else, then I would just use the object out here like this. I think that's a little bit better, a little bit safer. But as soon as I'm start doing stuff like this, it's like, well, okay, I need to switch to the constructor, which isn't really a big deal. It's like 3 lines of code different. Yeah.
I just sort of wondered that. I never picked up what was the difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still rocking on the capstone then?
Yeah, we're still there, doing about the same thing that we just did here.
Yeah, this is a great review for what y'all should be working on right now.
Yeah.
So what else do we need to know?
So tomorrow we'll do images.
Okay.
Kind of look at that. We can even add images to this project for team logo. And then we'll see what that looks like inside of code. Does that sound good?
Yeah, it sounds good. So,
Okay. Can take the rest of the day to work on your capstone. I'll be around for questions.
yeah, we will.
Okay.
And since you should work here then instead of over there, because we're all working on the same thing.
Okay.
You know, like yesterday when we were doing pair programming, like if I was missing an